T.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of T.
And
Oh, there
No,
we go.
we're three people.
we
We should do
sucked
that.
at that. I got so overexcited. Okay, let's do it again.
Okay, you ready? Everybody,
Yeah.
welcome back to another episode of T.
N. No.
Oh.
We
Not
need
even
to decide who's the N. Sorry.
Yeah,
N, you can do
Okay,
it.
let's launch it.
Oh, we'll try one more time. Although I liked the no part. I mean, it worked out in the end. No, but we'll try one more time. Okay.
I'll be the O.
Okay, you'll be the O. Everybody,
I'm the N.
you're the N. Everybody live on the show, thank you for joining us. Welcome back to another episode of T.
N.
Oh!
That was power. I might use
Wow,
that as
we
the
are
intro for next week. Ladies and gentlemen, to everyone who are watching, I know you're probably as devastated as we are here from the TNO side, as much as I'm sure they are. What one blow, two powerhouses gone, just like that. I personally didn't know how to feel about it. But before we speak about that, I'm going to ask you guys an icebreaker.
Mhm.
Would you rather go to the movies and sit next to someone who chews really loudly and doesn't stop eating? Or would you rather go to the movies with someone who doesn't stop talking? A or B?
A.
Oh, you guys don't have any problems with people chewing in your ears. That's a good quality good quality to have in a relationship. Probably why you guys last so long on an island.
Well,
We didn't chew in each other's ears, but we did talk a lot in each other's ears.
yeah. We didn't chew a lot, like full stop.
Yeah. I
Yeah, there
suppose
wasn't
rice
much
also-
chewing going on.
Yeah, rice doesn't make the loudest of noises. Okay, but yeah, devastated largely because of what happened. I mean, the mechanics of the game in this scenario take both of you out. And at the point of us watching this, I don't think it's a surprise that both of you, in your own right, the story that's being told, seemingly have a case for the end. And this is why this is a huge shock. So, Amy, we might as well start with you. Firstly, the mechanic of the game. Let's start about it. What do you think about that?
Listen, I've seen there've been a few people who've criticized it and said, it wasn't a good twist and they shouldn't have done it and just ruined the game a bit. I think it was a great twist. I mean, putting my feelings aside, if the rocks had been drawn pretty much any other way, it would have completely turned the whole game around. Like flipped everything on its side. Like put Renier with Tyson, put me with Wider, put anything else would have completely flipped the game around. It just so happened that fate decided that day that the way in which we were all paired together was completely within our small alliances, and it's hard to come back from that, So great twist, unfortunate outcome, to say the least. What do you think, Renier?
Yeah, I think you summarized extremely well. That the fact that the twist got the better of us, I think still is the truth. The opinion that the twist was bad, I don't think that necessarily is the truth. It was a good twist, which unfortunately saw a chain of events which were very unfortunate, starting with, first of all, the alignment of the smaller teams within the tribe. Second of all, there's no one going to Immunity Island. Third of all, Nicole winning. Fourth, Nicole taking us with. Like I can go on, and none of that is lack of gameplay. If Amy and I did not have the social skills to convince someone, that is on us. That's 100% on us. If we didn't have the strategic awareness to play something, that is on us. But all four of the things I mentioned now are unique scenarios out of our control, which if one of those four did not happen, we would probably have been safe. And that, I think that is what hurts, and that's what the survivor community feels as well. That's where the hurt comes from. Maybe it gets verbalized wrongly when they say it's a bad twist, but I understand where the hurt comes from, and I think is very easily pulled back to bad twist when it's actually a very unfortunate sequence of events.
Yeah. And just before we continue on that note, just want to say we've got Teresa in the house, we've got Dino in the house, Timor, Chris, Dylan, and the rest of you. And your fellow castaways, you got two of them listening to you. So
Hey,
no
guys.
pressure.
Hi, guys.
But just back onto the point of the game mechanic here. When we're looking at it and we say, okay, how much does it fit within the theme of the season? Do you think it was completely arbitrary, or do you think its purpose? I understand there's a reason why they did it, but did it fit within the season?
I think the season was all about these lines that had been drawn in the sand. So for some reason, by a complete interesting turn of events, people who had met each other on day one, no matter how many tribe swaps we had, by the time we get to merge, those day one alliances were seemingly brought together and the lines were drawn in the sand. So I think it was an interesting dynamic for our season because the attempt was to say, okay, let's throw this nonsense completely on its head and put you with people who you wouldn't choose to be with. Let's mess up these so-called divisions, this main division between OG Zamba and OG Vuna, and let's mix things up. And if it had worked out, as I said before, it would have been great. It would have been amazing. Who knows what could have happened? Yeah. It just the irony of it was the universe was like, no. OG Vuna, OG Zamba will remain a situation, and let's do that. So yes,
but also the fact that the two of you, how the two of you, based on where we land up, I suppose the arc of your story, it was a perfect conclusion. Even though it wasn't a great result for the two of you, I mean, your secret alliance, and then you come together and you two are put it next to each other. I mean, Renier, you shaking your head. What do you think about that?
It's probably the best dramatic romance which you can get. It is beautiful. if you ask someone to write a story, this is the fantastic end, and they talk about dramatic poetry and it's how you introduce something in the beginning and then you let it smolder and then it picks up and it becomes beautiful and then you tie it together by Renier.
I thought they were going to play Disney music when we both exited. I was very disappointed. That was a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So I hear exactly what you're saying, Claudia. The arc went full circle, and I 100% agree with that. But it does not make me feel better. If you ask me, Renier, do you want to be part of a fantastic film showcasing you and Amy finishing 9th and 10th respectively, or play deep into the game of Survivor? I would tell you, what kind of stupid question.
And cut Amy's throat.
No. Don't go there. No, I won't.
I wouldn't have held it against you.
No, I wouldn't.
Well, I think. Look, we've touched on the game. The sort of tie destinies, and there was value for it. I think to what you guys were saying in terms of if it goes any other way, it's a very interesting concept in terms of you forced to work with someone who possibly isn't in your alliance, and you have to make it happen. Also, then you have to have a confessional with this person, which also makes it very interesting. In the case that we saw with Anesu and Kieran. Anesu's plotting something else, but she has to play nice and fun Kieran. But what I want to talk about now is the special bond between the two of you. You did have this secret alliance, and it's perfect that you are on the show today because now you can elaborate and tell everyone why and what happened and why you guys actually just landed up bonding so well.
Renier, what did you see in me?
Depends on how far we go back, how complete I'm going to answer this question. But I actually jump in anytime, Amy, but I actually remember the first conversation which we had, the one where, okay, let's align. There was this very crooked tree at Zamba, and Amy, Nicole, and Marisha were standing there talking, and I was sitting on the half-built shelter, and they were talking, and then Marisha and Nicole quickly just talked something, Afrikaans thing, and decided something, and then left. And then Amy was standing there, and I thought, okay, cool, I haven't chatted to Amy at all. Went over, chatted to Amy, and then it was quick. It was super quick, a minute and a half or something. And I just said at one point, listen, Amy, I would love to be in alliance with you. I have not made any promises to anyone yet. Would you be interested? We can keep it super low-key, not to jeopardize your position with the girls. And I can't even remember what you said, Amy, but you gave me so much reassurance, yeah, we can do this. And Claudia, this is weird, né?
Yeah.
But there was something in Yes Renier, I Want To, that was super sincere. Like there was something which I immediately, when I turned around, think, okay, this is solid. And in retrospect, I almost doubt my survivor instinct. Like, Renier, how could you have in a minute and a half trusted someone completely? Because that's literally what it was. Turn around, boom, we assault, meet each other every night at midnight or whenever, when no one looks. We're not
This
seen
does sound like
together.
a Disney plot. Yeah. Keep
does.
going. Renier. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not seen. I'm glad Dino's online. I need to tell you a story a little bit later. But we meet in the dark when no one sees us. We don't chat. No one will see us sitting together. But all that is fun, and it colors in the picture. But what, in retrospect, for me is insane is based on what could we, or what aspect of Amy was it like 100% trust? Because I still don't know how I fell for that, and that is I'm really grateful that we ended up in that secret alliance from the start. And I can't say that from my side at least. Amy, you must please give your side as well. But I can't say from my side at least it was very good calculations that I checked out all other 9 castaways. It's like, yeah, Amy, she's got all the good things for a secret alliance, and now I'm going to it. It was nothing like that. It was luck of the draw. She was standing there. It's like, cool, I had a chat, and something just clicked. And it was literally a case of, sure, I really trust her when she said she's going to meet me at midnight. I really trust her.
So you're telling me throughout what we've seen, they had countless times to play this Disney music, and they didn't take their opportunity at any of these moments. I mean, where's the Latin song coming through? Where's the magic carpet? I don't know. Gee. Amy, you want to elaborate on this?
No, listen, I mean, I echo what Renier says. Like, we hadn't had much interaction, and then, this curly-haired guy, tall guy, comes up to me and says, "Hey," like, it's almost like getting asked on a blind date. He's like, a bit nervous. He's like, do you want to be in an alliance with me? And I'm like, okay.
I promise.
Smooth.
So
you both play that really well.
And then he's like, okay, meet me at midnight.
And you didn't even have an idol or anything. That's real game there, Renier. Real game. You didn't even have to
I promise to respect her and take it slow.
Oh, jeez. But I think that what was very cool about our undercover alliance is that there was a very long amount of time where we weren't together. He was on Vuna, I was on Zamba, getting my ass whooped and starving to death and stuff. And he, as soon as we came back together, it was like, okay, cool, let's pick up where we left off. It was so just easy, and I think we just both understood what we wanted out of the game. And after merge, we didn't actually really, I don't know if you remember this, but we didn't actually get a lot of time to speak to each other. And actually, when you see the episodes, there's not a lot of, there's actually I don't think there's any point where you see just the two of us talking to each other individually. We really, there were just so many people, there were so many eyes on us that the chance to have a midnight meeting and stuff like that was almost impossible. So we just knew it was okay, we have each other's backs. We're going to play. And when the time comes where we can actually get together again and start strategizing as the pair of us, then we'll do that. But for now, okay, we're playing in our alliances, and, we both know, we know implicitly, we're good, and that's, it was very cool. It was awesome.
I think just going back, I can imagine it being super awesome. I'm surprised you didn't leave messages in the sand or something there, Anita. You come across super romantic. I'm surprised that didn't happen. But I do want to ask, one of the viewers have said, this last episode was a lot of what if moments. So if you had to look back at it, what if you could do something different? What would you both do?
I would have told Nicole I wouldn't want to go on the reward with her.
In front of everyone.
Yes.
What, Nicole? Not happening. Not now. Not today. In front of these people.
Yeah, I would have made it very dramatic, and I would have made it look like I'm completely killing off my reward with Nicole, my relationship with Nicole, my alliance with Nicole, and saying, you are super unstrategic. You have no idea. Taking me with now will be the end of my game. So I'm ending this just right here. Please take someone else. And whoever else is up to team up with Renier and Amy, we're free agents now.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's so hard to say. I feel like, look, we couldn't control our destinies. We couldn't control being taken to the reward. I mean, as much as we would have wanted to say, like, no, I don't know, that would have been so tricky to pull off. And then what's left? It's basically convincing Chappies, Anesu, and Santini to vote with us. And Anesu was there. Anesu would have done it. Chappies was turned at a point. We managed to turn Chappies. And the sticking point was Santini. So when I have my what ifs, I'm like, all I see is Santini in my brain. It's a lot.
True.
Like every night before I go to bed, I just see Santini like looking at me at tribal council and thinking like, what could I have done differently? But if someone has a suggestion to tell us what we could have done, I'd like to hear it, because like, you know, you think up crazy things of like, okay, I should have done this, but like the reality of it is that it was a very, very tough task to turn them onto our side, and Santini just wasn't. She just didn't want to hear it.
Yeah. And what do you think that is? Is it because Santini's flipped so many times, she's trying to establish some sort of allegiance? Unfortunately for her, the perception's already been created that she's a flipper, but now she's trying to mend that, whereas she probably would have been better off flipping with you guys. Or am I misreading that?
So I have my theory about Santini, and like Santini, I've said it before, like she's a very complex character, and that's why she's made such an incredible mark on the season, because she's so complex and she's so interesting, because you never know what she's going to do from one episode to the next. And I think what happened with Santini is she flip-flopped the whole season without much repercussion. There weren't many repercussions. Like people just kind of accepted it, you know. Everyone had their eye on her, but we carried on. Then when Marisha went home and that was the big flip. I think the reaction from the OG Zamba members was so intense, and the betrayal ran so deep that it shook her. And if you pay attention to the last episode 9, you can see that in a lot of the conversations, she's almost in tears. Like she's got tears in her eyes. And I think that she made a decision. She was so shaken by that reaction that she was like, never again. I'm not doing it. You know, like I can't keep doing this. I can't keep bearing the brunt of this flip-flopping. It's too much for me. And she just was like, I've made my allegiance. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. This is it. And I'm sticking to it. And almost like wanting to be more low-key, because I think she realized how her game was getting blown up at that point by people being aware of this flip-flopping.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, Renier?
Yeah, I want to add on to the Santini point. I underestimated the influence Santini had. And I think the flip-flopping nature, which she has shown us up until that point, did two things. One, it made a possible flopper, which we were banking on. But two, if someone is as flipping as Santini is, it makes the rest of her alliance very cautious for her volatility. If I upset Santini, I've seen her flip. So I don't want to upset her. And I overestimated the influence Chappies has and underestimated the influence Antonia has, because when I had Chappies, I say had as if in my pocket. When I was able to convince Chappies to vote with us, that was sincere. He was there. He was completely there. But Chappies wasn't the king decision maker in that alliance. When Santini came to whisper in his ear, either you don't work with them or I'm out and you don't see me again. He was like, oh yeah, that is true. I am out. Cool. So Renier, bye-bye. Santini wins. And I underestimate, in retrospect, working at Santini as hard as you can and making her feel safe would probably have been something better.
Amy, you were smiling there while he was explaining this. Is this what is amusing in that moment while he was talking about the chat?
No, I'm reading the comments.
Oh, okay, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Look, one thing I do want to say, and why I thought, personally speaking, while I was watching your games play out, every time, so I obviously I have the privilege of speaking to you. So I watch the game, I speak to the people getting booted off, and every time after time, someone came on, they were saying, wow, Renier, social game on point. And I think Toriso, hugely in your corner, saying, I just have soft spot for this guy. He would find it, forget about gameplay, he would speak to me. And I'm going, wow, who cares if this guy's strategic? He's got that on his side. And then I'm looking at you, Amy, and I'm going, this chick just knows how to read the room. She knows when to say the thing at the right time. And this is what I'm looking at. I'm like, wow, this is why this whole thing is, unfortunately, is a bit of a shock. But your social games now, I've got a question in terms of if you've got to look strategic versus social. Can you weigh up which one's more important in the game? Or I know we've got to be fluid and you've got to have a bit of everything. But what would you say is more important?
Social.
Are they mutually exclusive? Like, is there a game where you can be strategic without social? Because social, like, strategic is the idea, but social implements it.
Well, that's why social, because you can't implement a strategic game without the ability to have social strength. And if you have weak strategic ability, you can still get yourself to the end by being a strong social player.
Yeah, that's true.
My view.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, to put it this way, a great plan can't be implemented with social, but a great social game can be implemented without strategy.
Yeah, that makes
the strategic fan in me is cringing at the moment. This sucks.
I influenced you.
I'm all strategy and no social. Now I'm suddenly like, frack it, call me Michelle Fitzgerald or something. But what the hell?
Hey, bro, she made 2 finals. You can't be. Hey, you can't be tripping Michelle. Then. Michelle,
No. I'm just saying she's all social and not strategic, and look where that got her, and that's where I'm leaning towards now.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Well, we've spoken about. I just dove right in with YouTube because obviously the situation is quite unparalleled compared to everyone else's journey at this moment in time. But let's talk about your journey. Let's talk about the moments people didn't get to see. You've got some Dino stories, Renier. Let's hear 1 or 2 of those Dino stories. Amy, you tell me 1 or 2 stories once he's done about anything else you want to tell us, something that we've completely missed and we all need to know.
Okay, cool. I'll give you a Dino story and then alternate with Amy further. So this Midnight Alliance of ours, as romantic as it sounds, like, okay, I just need to give my partner, need to give my partner some kudos. So this one night, it is storming, raining, like it is super wet. I'm lying. Now our agreement was Amy will get up and go, and then when I hear her going, or I think he tapped my foot or something, can't remember. Anyway, and go, and then I'll give it a couple of minutes, get up, go find her wherever she stood in the bush, and then we'll quickly do a information download. And that night it was pouring. I was like, okay, Amy's not going tonight. Let's not lie. And you can't expect her to go, man, it's raining. Dang, she gets up. I was like, dang, girl. Like, she's serious about this alliance. I love it. And she goes, walks by, gives me a tap, went off. And I'm like, okay, cool. I just need to give it a couple of minutes. And I'm on the verge of getting up, literally seconds from getting up. And Dino grabs my foot and he's like, Renier, someone just got up and left. We must look who else is going to leave. This is definitely a secret alliance. We must just see who it is between. I was like, you are completely right. And it's me.
Did you tell him that? Or did you just...
No, I was just thinking. And I was like, are you sure? And he said, yeah, definitely. And I was lying there thinking, Renier, do not move a muscle. Now I'm lying there thinking, okay, we can get away with this. We can get away with this. And then seconds later, Amy is standing in pouring rain waiting for me. And it feels like hours and hours. And she's standing in the rain and time goes by and I'm lying there and thinking, I probably
Is this a Pearl Harbor moment? Pearl Harbor moment where she's waiting for the train and he just doesn't rock up at the train station.
Like, invited this girl
and
on
I'm
a date.
standing there. Let me paint you a picture. I'm standing there in the pitch dark, in the pouring rain, hidden behind a bush, with a camera on me, waiting for Renier to arrive. And then it just didn't happen. And eventually I'm just like, okay. And I go back to bed, like drenched, like this, just like, okay.
And were you there the next day doing the same thing though?
Claudio, let me give you the best part of all of this, né?
Yeah.
So now the next morning, I'm jittery. I don't know Amy very well by then. I'm like, she's going to be so mad. She's going to be so mad. Like it is that move when you go buy your wife flowers before she tells you something. Like you just know if you don't rock up at home with flowers, you don't have a chance. You at least need to like prepare the playing field.
Exactly.
I'm not sure what's going to happen here. And that exact crooked tree I was referring to earlier. Next day, first time I see Amy was there. I catch her eye for like a blink of a second, and she turns and walks away. And I think, oh shucks, like this is one of two things. Either she's really mad at me for standing in the rain for hours, or she's just bought into this secret alliance vision like crazy. I really hope it's the latter. That night, Amy get up, went out, and I'm just like, what a machine. Like she's still in. I get up, meet up, quickly play back 24 hours. I'm so sorry, yesterday this and this and this happened. And Amy's just like, no, good, man, I understand. So anyway, the information I have is, and we're right back in the swing of things. Amy, I've never told you this, but mad respect for those 2 days. Like, yeah, that was incredible. First day waiting for me in the rain, like a ditched girlfriend. And then the second day just saying, cool, I understand. Let's do this. Like, you're incredible.
Yeah.
I appreciate that so much.
I mean,
thank
I know, Amy, I want you to follow up with that, but just on that point, I think in the voting confessionals, Chappies makes the comment, you should have played harder, Renier. And you speak about the fact where you say, play the game or love the people. And clearly, we all, based on what I've been hearing, you've got this huge love for the people, and that was your strength. But in terms of playing harder, you guys had this connection, you had this bond, you kept down under wraps. This was, I'm assuming, part of your strategy going into the game. But do you feel like you could have taken advantage of this far greater than what you ended up doing?
No, I mean, no one knew that we had a secret alliance. I mean, obviously, we were eventually, tied together in tied destiny. So, it was like, oh, Amy and Renier are automatically aligned. But nobody knew that there was this, that we'd been meeting up in secret, that we'd been strategizing. We were just happened to be in the same alliance, So I think we definitely could have taken it a lot further than we ended up being able to. I mean, no question. How far we could have taken it, like, who knows, but yeah, it's just a pity, really.
So if you think about it, Claudia, imagine yourself in a world where tied destinies had Warda and Amy and me and Tyson tied up, and them not knowing Amy and I are as tight as we were.
Yeah, that's a good example. Yeah.
Imagine the benefits or the dividends which this would have paid then. So back to your question, we would definitely have been able to get much more dividends from this, but it depended on how tight destinies played out.
Yeah, totally.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Amy, do you want to elaborate on any story that we all need to hear that people don't know?
I mean, I've got so many. I'll tell you one. I hate water parks.
Don't tell this story. Come on, Amy. Like,
no, I'm not going to tell that story. No, it's gross.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going to tell that story. That's too much.
No, I feel like you have to tell that story now.
I'll tell you one.
Okay.
Not for camera. I hate water parks. So when Nicole was like, "Oh, we're going to the water park," I was like, oh, "Okay." Anyway, so they made us go down the slides, and like, it's really scary for me. So like, we had to go down the slide, and they filmed it and all of that. And then Renier, remember there was that really long slide with the you and Ella were in like a double. What do you call it?
Yes.
A double tube. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I have to go all the way up there and get in a tube with Nicole and then go all the way down. Like, I'm not doing this. So I remember I went to production, and I was like, I'm scared of heights. I can't do it. Like, I'm not scared of heights, but like, I really didn't want to do it. And I was like, I just don't want to do it. And they were like, it's okay. And I was like, okay. And so Nicole had to go down on her own.
The table where the food was at the highest point in the park. So come on, Amy.
Yeah, but it's different. I don't know. I hate water parks. It's awful.
I don't know if we've got time to discuss your fear of water park. I mean, or your hatred towards what happened. Like, growing up, there's clearly some sort of.
I'm gonna have to talk to my therapist about it. It's not for now.
Okay. All right.
We'll speak to a paid professional.
I mean, I don't know if I'm offended. I think this show this is what it is. This is where you can offload those sort of questions, So,
okay, well then, can I share some of my other survivor trauma with you?
Please.
Okay.
I'm taking. Hold on. I'm taking notes here.
Yeah. Get your notebook out.
Okay. Cool.
And then ask me how I'm feeling. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So I really suffered from the cold. I mean, it really was freezing for everyone. The rain was incessant. I don't think people have actually seen how bad it was. And something that I was surprised they didn't show is the one night when we were at Zamba, it rained so much and it was so cold that Carla, Sean, and I think someone else were sleeping on the floor next to the fire. And we were so sleep deprived and like delirious that like I just fell into this weird sleep next to the fire, but I burnt my legs on the fire. I basically fell asleep like on the fire. And I woke up the next morning and my legs were completely
my
burnt.
professional advice is not sleep next to the fire. Does that
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Cold. Yeah, that's
all cold. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, sorry. Your legs, your legs are burnt.
In an ideal world, you don't sleep next to the fire, but in survivor land, you do what you can to avoid hypothermia. So
I feel like it's a nice icebreaker for my next show. Would you rather sleep next to the fire or die from the cold? I don't know.
That's an ice melter.
Ice melter, yeah.
So anyway, so I woke up the next morning, my legs were completely burned. The medics came, they bandaged me up, and I walked around for like half a day with in fact, a full day with bandages around my legs.
Shit.
Somehow they managed to edit that out. I was very perturbed by that. I was quite pissed off because it was a very serious moment in my life, and I feel like other people should share in that. But anyway, now I'm sharing it with you now. So yeah.
Fair enough. People
feel better.
They know the truth now. Did anything happen to the skin on your legs, or was it?
It was blistered, but they'd given me ointment, so the blisters went away. It was incredible, thank goodness, because I had all these little blisters on my legs. It was really sore. But anyway, that should. Yeah.
Both of you spoke about the elements and said how harsh this is, and the difference between the idea of you thinking playing the game and versus completely factoring out the element parts of it, and how we as viewers watch it, we get very engrossed. Like you speak about the rain, Renier. You know how many times I forget it's actually raining because I'm so interested in what's happening at Tribal and listening to you act. And by the way, Tyson says you're a terrible actor. I want to hear what you think about that. But I mean, the elements, in terms of a scale from 1 to 10, how much does it affect your actual overall gameplay?
11.
Just
no. That was not the question I expected. I thought you were going to ask how hard it is. The answer is really tough. Asking how much does it affect your gameplay is really, really difficult to answer because there's no true north, and we deviated 23 degrees, so it affected me 23 degrees. It's very difficult. But to give you a more level-headed answer on that is, if you think of it this way, what rain does, not only it downs your mood, it not only makes you cold and wet, but it also makes time out of the shelter. It also limits time out of the shelter. And you need people moving around. You need dynamics. You need people moving out of the shelter for the rest of the people in the shelter to can talk. You need people moving out of the shelter to have one-on-one discussions. So I do think, and I said this in the confessional ones as well, the longer we are trapped in the shelter, it was Vuna 2.0 days, the longer we are trapped in the shelter, the less gameplay there can happen. And I have enough control in this tribe at this moment to be very happy with no gameplay happening without me knowing. And I was very, very happy about that at that point because I was sitting pretty. But if you will find yourself in a tribe which is going to tribal council tonight, you are in a minority and your name is on the voting block, on the voting parchment, then I think that is the worst thing that can happen because that impacts your game directly. You don't have to catch someone around the corner, quickly chat to him because everyone is trapped by the rain.
Yep.
I just struggled mentally with it. It's my personality. I'm quite an outgoing, bubbly person, but my personality just completely was suppressed. It disappeared. Everything went out the window. And then it's hard to sort of focus on the game at hand. And when you're actually focused on survival for real, when your body is so cold that you just focus on that, it's really challenging to I feel like I'm sounding like such a wuss, but it really is so.
I'm laughing.
It really. Oh, okay, fine. It really is so hard to then focus on gameplay, and it's quite amazing that no one from our season wanted to quit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's testament to. Yeah, I think it's testament to the fact that you guys were fans, and I want to save this for the next section. But I might as well ask it now. The Nicole decision as to taking you guys to this reward thing, was that not a reflection in terms of when you're looking at everyone that was playing the game of Survivor, that maybe strategically she wasn't really as much as a fan as, say, some of the other players out there in order to make that decision? Or Or was it a strategic decision in its own right by doing what you did?
I think can I go for it, Amy? I think where Nicole takes a lot of shots now is that was a bad strategy decision, and I would really come up for her there and say it wasn't a bad strategic decision; it was an unstrategic decision. Her decision was not based on, okay, I'm going to take strategy into account, and then she made a judgment error by making a bad strategic decision. Nicole is put together with a lot of love and a lot of friends, and friends I'll look after you and I'll bring you with, and I just want to have a good time. So her decision was not strategy based at all. It was love based, it was care based. It was these are my friends. And therefore I think there needs to be a distinct difference between unstrategic and a badly strategic, because that's not what it was. It was the former rather than the latter. And to your question, was that maybe was that an unstrategic move? I think it was no strategy at all. It was true to who Nicole has been the entire time, and therefore I can't fault her. I can't be angry at her for being true to herself. If it was a case of Nicole was the most strategic person in the game, and then suddenly when she had to make a good strategic call, she screwed us. Yes, like then I would have been freaking mad. But I can't fault her for being true to herself.
Listen, and I mean, we didn't know that the reception when we got back would be as hostile as it was. Like we were expecting people to like not be chuffed that they didn't get to eat ice cream and go down a horrible water slide, but like it was really intense. I mean, Renier, I think you've said that like you didn't feel that, but I felt like an immense amount of hostility when we came back. And like, thinking from Nicole's perspective, all she was doing was saying, well, Amy tried really hard. She came so close to winning this challenge. Let me reward her, not because necessarily she's my alliance member, but because she really came so close and she deserves it. That's what she was trying to do. And it was received like a lot worse than I think any of us even imagined. I thought we could still come back from it. And I don't think we could have. Well, we didn't. So we know.
No, I completely agree with you, Amy. Like we didn't expect like it to be that big of a theme when we came back.
Yeah.
So how did you deal with the hostility when you got back? I mean, we only saw a snippet. You get back, they're eating the eggs, they're doing the things you guys have eaten. I know we saw Nella wasn't too impressed. Did you guys just sit there and watch it and be like, oh,
He's so funny. Like, Nella, why? You just ate. No, listen, I mean, like I think we just sat there in silence, like the four of us. We didn't say anything. Like obviously no one offered us any food. And then I can't even remember after that. It was just like then I guess after dinner it was like, okay, let's try work on people again. And we made good progress. And that's something we'll probably discuss in detail. But like Anesu, despite everything, Anesu was still willing to work with us. And Chappies was willing to work with us for a large chunk of the day. And then obviously that all turned against us. But funnily enough, there is a scenario in which Nicole taking us to the reward doesn't end up with us leaving.
100%.
Fair enough. Renier, your book of trust. If you had to envision what that looks like, what does the cover look like?
The cover of the Book of Trust. Definitely Amy would love this. Scales of Justice, right on the front. And then probably Renier on the one side, Amy on the other side, just like looking at each other, because there's no bigger resemblance of trust than that. I'm super corny now. You can see I left her out to dry in the rain. I'm trying to get brownie points.
Yeah, it's making up for not having flowers there either. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And then on the inside it has secret pages. It like has normal pages which you'll normally see, and then it has this very thin film. And if you turn that page, it says "Flip you chappies for not saving us," and then you can page over to the next proper page again. And every second page is
Someone asked the question, why didn't we look for an idol at the reward? We looked for an idol. We looked very hard. Obviously. There was a lot of looking for idols actually throughout the day.
There was.
A fortune, but unfortunately it didn't pay dividends.
Before we move on, we've got a question from Chris saying Renier was keen to get rid of Jason. And I'm wondering if both you guys being super fans or potentially Jay knowing stuff about him similar to Dino is why he was happy to get rid of him.
No, so that's the easy answer. So the real reason I was keen to get rid of Jason is, the backstory is I was never keen on getting rid of Jason. For 2 3/4 days, I was fine with Jason in the game. I was actually aligned with Jason, but I was tighter aligned with Amy. And I never, ever considered voting Jason out until he threw out Amy's name. So how that looked is he would write all 10 names in the sand, all 10 of people in our tribe, and he says, Renier, we're definitely not voting you, rubs out my name, rubs out his name, goes through reasons why we shouldn't vote out anyone, and then only Amy's name is left. And he asked me, who do you want to vote for? I was like, bro, come on. And then he starts again, writes out 10 names, starts rubbing it out with justification, not this person, and leaves out Amy's name. And I just felt like that's super convincing and it's very smart gameplay. So kudos to the guy. He's not throwing out a name. He's allowing me to throw out a game, but he forces me, backs me into a corner. And the only name he leaves me with is my tightest alliance member. And it's only then when I decided, like, no, screw this. I'm going to turn against Jason to get him out. And because you only have like 20 odd minutes.
I'm trying to point that way. There we go. Yeah.
It's so hard to...
I mean, I've got a sling, so I'm trying to get right. Anyway, iconic moment, by the way. I think that goes down in history. Survivor. How do you feel about that? You got a meme that everyone's probably going to be using in the Survivor community. You're a huge fan. Does that resonate at some point for you? Like, holy shit, that's me. That's me pointing.
I don't know. I don't know if that's going to last. If we see if next season's coming out and that being used, I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's quite cool.
100% as well. I'm convinced.
Yeah,
too good.
but I must say on that, Claudia, that's weird, né? Because there were a couple of things like the Minion confessional, which I knew that can be funny and people might like it. But the pointing, there was absolutely zero intent on being funny. So this is the conversation. I'm glad Dino's online because he can vouch for this. This is the conversation between me and Dino. So we rock up. I didn't know he was already like campaigning against Jason, and I was trying to convince him. Listen, I know Kian's name is on the table, but maybe we should consider someone else. Someone else is throwing out your name, and I was getting him over the line and realized, no, he's quite bought into this. And I said, Dino, so what I think we should do is vote for. And then Jason rocks up into the conversation. I was like, and now it is 10 minutes or less before tribal. Yeah. We're everyone ready to go. I was like, if I go back to camp now, I honestly might not get another chance to finalize this deal. I need to get this. And that's when that's when that started. It was never to be funny. It was never to try and make Jason look bad or anything. It was literally we needed to complete that sentence to get the vote in the ground. And you can ask Dino how paranoid I was when I left there because I didn't know if that was like finished. We didn't talk again before we went to tribal. That was literally the last chance I had.
Yeah, it's chaotic. Before we move on, the Dino sort of question. Everyone's come on here saying Dino had a great chance of seeing. We know he's online. He had a great chance of winning if he made it to the merge, etc. But everyone who's come on here has said they struggled to a certain extent to trust him. There was something about the look in his eyes. This is what they were saying. So why did you not play with him? Well, like, what was the reason behind this? Because also it's a fan favorite going into this season. So just curious, maybe we can shed some light on that topic.
I think like I'd love to see Dino play again, and I think he should play again because I think that he's such a big fan. And Dino, don't mind, I'm just like talking all about you now. He's such a big fan of the game, and I think that that intense like love for the game, and then finally having his dreams come true. I think that like it almost like he built it up so much that like the paranoia, he was so scared to stuff it up that it was almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the paranoia like got to him. So I think like I'd love to see Dino come back as like a non-paranoid Dino, and like because he's the nicest guy, and there's no ways that people would not trust him or not want to work with him when he doesn't have that little paranoid edge to him. It's that look in his eyes. It's where that tells you like, no, like, yeah, like, and that it was that. I think that was just I don't know what you think, Renier.
I 100%. I can actually give an example to just confirm what Amy says. Like for me, it was also the beginning. Like, oh shucks, like this guy grabbing the necklace and threatening to pull, and what's going on. Um, but when I got to know Dino was towards the first tribe swap, and immediately after the first tribe swap, day 6, Vuno 2.0, Dino said to me, and he said this way: he said, "All I'm looking for is my ride or die till the end, and I'll take that person all the way." And that is when I completely made the shift to positivity, Dino. Like I was like, okay, cool. I get this guy. Like he may sometimes he may look a little flustered or so, but I really get this guy's heart. Like he just wants someone to work with him, and he hasn't had that someone. So forgive the guy for looking paranoid. Like there's reason to be paranoid when you don't have a someone and you're going to tribal council. So
Yeah.
I completely get that. And for me, the best time I had with Dino was Vuno 2.0, and I was really sad, really, really sad in Vuno 3.0 when he didn't survive that first vote, because what Amy says is 100% on the money. He's such a nice guy. There's actually no reason not to trust him, and I only realized that in Vuno 2.0, never in Zamba 1.0.
Okay. Fair enough, Dino. I hope you got the answer that you were looking for there. Now, it is time.
We just assessed you, Dino. This is a one big therapy session. Sorry,
this
yes,
is exactly
Nadia.
what it is. No problem. I mean, I hope you've been taking notes, because I only wrote the one thing about your fear of water parks. That's all I got. And sleeping next to the fire, 2 points, guys. Not sleeping next to the fire and water parks, no go. That's all I got. I don't know. Any other notes?
No.
Okay. Cool. Sweet. Time for the golden spear. This is the moment in the show where we talk about the player who made the best move for the episode. And we say the reasons why they deserve the golden spear. So we're going to kick it off. Amy, let's hear the nominations. Let's hear what you got there.
I want to nominate Anesu. I'll tell you why. I think she was willing to make a big move. And she was going to put everything on the line to make the big move. But obviously she couldn't make a big move without the support behind her. She tried to convince Chappies. Chappies turned her down. And she did what was best for her game. She still has not been like entirely outed as an undercover ninja. Like Kieran Tyson and Anesu, and Wada, like still have trust for Anesu. So I think she's very well positioned in the game. Like she's been playing this double agent, but without being exposed in the way that Santini was exposed or has been exposed. So I think she's got a lot of room to maneuver in the game going forward. So I'm excited to see what's in store for her.
Cool.
So for me, the criteria for Golden Spear being made the biggest move, I'll have to credit Santi with that, because it was 100% her whispering in Chappie's ear after the trust book was signed that made Amy and I go home. So the fan in me awards the Golden Spear to Santini, saying it is you that made the big move. It is you that sent Amy and Renier packing. You pulled the trigger, whether you want to admit it or not. Congrats, you get the Golden Spear. So the fan in me can say that. The player in me is just like, yes, no one gets the Golden Spear. I went home, flip it.
That's interesting. I wonder, this might be a sore point for the two of you, but Nicole's name to get thrown out there, just because in context of her game, I get the feeling that if it were the pair of you or the pair of Anela and Nicole, I think their name probably would have been on the chopping block. So her winning the challenge, and it was a battle to the end. I mean, you were close, Amy. You were so close. And Renier was your cheerleader there, and the wind that wind, guys. Can we talk about the Wild Coast wind? What the hell? I know it's wild, but jeepers. Literally.
No, everything about that place is just bananas.
Except the bananas. There's no flipping bananas.
Except the bananas.
It's like, yeah.
You didn't find one. Not one banana.
There was a crap load of banana trees. Not one banana. Not a half a banana. Not a banana. But
another banana. I feel like that's a shirt moment. I'm gonna put that in your trust journal. We're gonna have another banana in there, and then we're gonna draw that. It's gonna be nice.
Another banana shirt me, and I'll wear it. I'll promote it for you. I promise. Another banana.
But listen, I have to agree with you. Like I don't know why I didn't think of Nicole, but I mean, she saved she saved both herself and Anela. I'm pretty convinced that they would have gone home if she hadn't won that reward. So that immunity challenge. So props to her. She took the game into her own hands, and that she's the reason they're still there.
Yeah. So Claudia, but I just need to give you some perspective. Now you bring up a good point now, and I don't think people at home realize how tough that challenge is. So just to give you perspective, we've been chatting now for 50 minutes. Sorry, my dog really wants to come in. So if you're hearing that in the background, just ignore it.
I mean, he's more than welcome to. Jason had his whole zoo on the first episode of TNO, so we do promote that. We are animal friendly here.
No, it's okay. She can stay outside a little bit more. So husky, she can handle the cold.
Okay.
Dylan, I see you're referring to James's banana etiquette. We didn't have banana etiquette because we didn't have bananas. But what I want to point out, Claudia, we've been online now for 50 odd minutes, man. So Tyson, me, and Anesu fell out of this challenge at 40 minutes. Amy and Nicole went past hour and 40 minutes. So that means they stood there alone in that challenge for longer than we've been online now. And that is after everyone else fell out. That is flipping long. Like, my butt got sore for just sitting next to them. Like, that is a proper challenge. And I don't think Amy is credited enough with how hard she fought in that challenge. That was incredible. And kudos to both of them. But Nicole getting a necklace to prove how hard she fought is not just on Amy.
Claudia, I just need to let you know, full disclosure, that Renier is my new PR rep.
That's
so
funny.
carry on.
That comes out of
Tell
my
them how
heart.
great I am.
No, that needed to be said.
Thank you, Renier. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's interesting that you're looking for a PR when I heard you're also a great PA, Nick. Amy, I heard that was your story. That's what you're telling people out there on the island.
Where did you hear that now? That's so funny.
It's one of the stories that I've come across saying, Amy was trying to conceal what she does for a living, and her story was that she was a PA.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if that helps your case, because I know PAs that are hardcore. Like, CEOs don't exist without their PAs. And I could actually see being a very successful PA, in personal opinion. And now you're getting positive PR from both fronts here, but nonetheless, I think that's the case.
I'm already taken. Renier's representing me, but we'll chat after. Day one, I was like, I can't be a lawyer. I can't tell them I'm a lawyer because you know what people think of lawyers, and especially in Survivor, you know how that's going to get perceived. So I thought, okay, let me tell them I'm a PA. Apparently, no one believed me. I don't know why, but no one. Well, I know why because apparently I speak very well and articulate myself very well. But I mean, still, like, I thought that people believed me, but no one bought it. But Shane, there were some people that bought it. I think Dino was giving me like career advice and like telling me like maybe I should go back to university and finish my law degree. I felt like the worst person in the whole world. You know how bad I felt? Because he's so nice, and he was like, Amy, I really think you have potential.
And Amy's just like, I have potential. Believe me, I have a crap load of potential.
But and he's still online hearing this. I don't know. You've become an unofficial fourth member of the show tonight. Okay, but it comes down to it. I'm going to count down to 3. You're going to throw your spear. Are you guys ready? And you're going to say that name. But the sound effects have to be there because we don't have a sound effect person. So I rely on the contestants, the castaways. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Nicole!
Chappies.
Yo. We've got unhappiness in this couple on the island. Maybe this is why you guys are off. You couldn't agree on a name. What's going on here?
Oh, dang.
Okay, fair enough. We've got Chappies and we've got the other name, Nicole. So
Nicole.
I'll take Nicole. What's quite nice is I take what you guys say and then I put it out and put it and I see what the feedback's there as well. Okay. That's it. Time to move on to the wooden spoon. This is not a good time for some castaways, largely because we know that the PTSD is a real thing. You guys can vouch for that. But nonetheless, we talk about the wooden spoon because people watching want to play the game one day and we can look for moves on what not to do. So,
Oh no, I thought I gave Chappies the wooden spoon. I'm not paying attention.
no, Amy, you would have been a terrible PA. Terrible PA. They pay attention.
A terrible lawyer.
Hey,
Never
pay
mind.
attention. Come on.
No, my golden spear is Nicole.
Okay.
We're
Nicole,
alive!
Hey, Nicole, what
Definitely.
up? Good job, Nicole.
Has to
She
be.
screwed the two of you
Yeah.
over, but you helped her own game. Good job, Nicole.
Mm.
Fantastic. Okay. Now, Amy, we're talking about the wooden spoon.
Okay, I've got it.
Okay. All right. This is for the player who made the most precarious move for their game in this episode. Let's hear the names. We started with Amy last round. Renier, let's hear it. Who do you want to throw out there?
Chappies, 100.
We're
Okay.
aligned.
So we have consensus. Yes, good. Signed, sealed, done. Cheers.
Moved over.
Sealed, delivered.
Let's move along. You want to elaborate? You guys want to elaborate there?
So I'll say, from my perspective, he had a chance to make a big move, turn the game on its head, flip a traditional strong alliance where he's at the bottom clearly, put something great on his CV, and have Renier's and my allegiance for the rest of the game. And he chose not to do that. So he chose the safe move, in my opinion. And I don't think it was the best move for his game.
I 100% agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. I wanted to go there as well.
Okay. It's interesting that you guys are saying he was doing the safer thing. When if you're looking at the edit for the episode and we're seeing his discussions with Anesu, and we know Anesu very keen to play, and him possibly putting the break, do you not think maybe it's just a timing thing from his perspective? If you were in the same shoes, would you have done something similar to him?
Look, there's not that many episodes left before we get to the end. So you can't go with this mindset of next time next time will be the right move. Like, okay, not now, next time, because you don't know what's going to happen next time. I mean, this game has proven that anything can happen, but to go from being in the bottom of a 6 alliance to having Renier, as I said, Renier's and my allegiance for the rest of the game because he saved us. Like, for me, I think, why not do that? And then pull off a huge blindside and have something awesome on your CV. Next, you're saying, okay, well, he's got the chance for the next episode. But who knows what's coming up next episode?
Yeah.
Who knows if he's going to get that chance?
So on that point of Amy, Claudia, so
Yeah.
with this I feel needs to be discussed in way more detail probably. But in a game as Survivor, everyone usually talks about long-term and short-term games. Like, yeah, sure, you have a short-term focus, a long-term focus. Everyone knows that's not rocket science. But in a specific game like Survivor South Africa, Immunity Island, where twists are being introduced in every single episode, like without exception, there the long-term game is made up of many short-term games. There is no long-term game. You cannot plan for 7-8 days in advance. If you try to do that, you're stupid. Like, you cannot do that. What you can do is you can play a short-term game and follow it up by another good short-term game and follow it up by another good short-term game and maybe look at 2 or 3 short-term games ahead. But it's nothing like a long-term game. And if Chappie's found himself in a position now where he said, well, I was thinking long-term to stay tight with my alliance, there's no way that you can think with 10 days to go or 13 days to go long-term at this point. You need to think 3 short-term games ahead. What is the best now? How can I make other alliances? How can I make sure that if advantage now falls on the Zamba side of the line, that is with me as well? We would have brought that. We would have brought him extra 2 definite votes. We would have not have killed off any of the trust which you had with Santi or with Anesu. You would have been clean with Santi and Anesu. You would have been clean with the 2 of us. We are still tied with Anela and Nicole, so he would have had shots in there as well, and he would have been rid of the person who has held him puppet the whole time, being Tyson, for the movie made 2 episodes earlier. So I feel there was so many reasons for different permutations of short-term games being beneficial for Chappies at that point that it just didn't make sense for them not to go for it.
But what on the other end, to play devil's advocate, it is very impressive that he went from being number 1 target at the merge to being in the position that he was in this past episode. So, like, you can't take that away from him at all. Chappies, like has really he's flipped his own game around quite amazingly.
Agreed.
Yeah,
No, I completely
yeah.
agree.
And I think on that note, I think just based on that alone, him getting as far as he gets, wherever he lands up, I think it's huge. I don't know if it's as much of the point that possibly that Tyson move like really helps his game long term and maybe all these factors, but regardless of where he finishes up, you got to say on that note alone, it's a credit to whatever he's done. But he does come across as someone who's overly ambitious. So I don't know, and I know you talk about Renier, you talk about the short term. You're incredibly analytical, and that's one of the strengths of your game. Someone like that, maybe, and I'm just looking from the outside looking in. I don't know anything else as to what's going on here. But someone who's able to think like that maybe tends to forget the finer detail, and somehow that works in his favor because everyone else is worrying about the smaller detail and he gets carried along. I don't know if that is a possibility.
I think that's very sharply picked up from you. I can't say if that's necessarily 100% the case here with Chappies or not, but what I can definitely say is you're correct in saying being picked up by others and then being helped along, and kudos to him. Like if they saw Chappies being their lifeline, he did something to make them feel like he's their lifeline, and kudos to him for that. Like they did not, they decided to save Chappies. Chappies was not. They did not decide to vote him off, and something had to make them decide that, and that's all he needed to do.
Fair enough. We do have one more nomination. I think Dino's saying the Thai Destiny's Twist. Should we throw that in there? I mean, it's unprecedented.
Totally.
We might as well. I mean, it's
Totally.
a first for Survivor, first for TNO. We can't throw the game mechanic in there. Yeah?
It's a being in and of itself. It deserves to be nominated.
Yeah. And I think had it gone a different way, we'd probably not have focused so much on it. But the result was, what it was. So I'm going to count down to 3, and we're going to hear the nomination. And again, don't forget the sound effects. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Chappies.
Chappies.
There you go, Chappies. Unlucky. Wah, 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 wah. You get the 10th wooden spoon of the season. Unlucky for you. Now, time. We're going to move on.
Sorry, Chappies.
Storms Brewing. This is where we look at the game, what we think might be coming. As to obviously you guys know a lot more as to the normal viewer, but nonetheless what we think based on the edit in terms of what we will see happening. And I might as well kick off because you guys can't say too much. And Nessa, we know if she wants to play hard, I think she's going to be a huge player in this next episode.
Yeah. This is where I need to put my filter on, and I'm so worried because I've finished my whiskey and I don't want to say anything.
Okay, allow me to brew the existing storms for you. There is no love between Warda and Anela. We know that, and that is the truth. Although we didn't see much of it in this episode, that is 100% true. There's also not a lot of love between Santini and Anela. I know they had a little bit of a nyef chat, but I don't think that did much. And that's definitely also a storm of brewing. I also know that at this point, Chappies doesn't like Nicole very much. For maybe Amy, you can elaborate, for apparently not pulling her weight at the at camp. Who knows why? Well, anyway, so there's not a lot of love lost. Then the other hatreds or something. I don't think there is quite other storms brewing evident at this point at the moment.
I want to see if Operation Destiny. I want to see if Operation Destiny comes to fruition. I want to see what happens with that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Hey?
Operation Destiny already failed. That's why we're sitting here.
Yeah, well, that was our Operation Destiny.
Yeah.
There's 2 at play.
Yeah, that's
also,
true.
Renier, I like how you've broken this down. I'm actually going to use it as a template moving forward with the next people coming on the show. Give us the current forecast so we can make the prediction for the next forecast. I like that. So thank you very much. So we might as well move on to the next topic because we don't want to get stuck too far here. Your final thoughts, Amy and Renier. This is the time for you to shine. This is, I speak about this being a therapeutic show for Castaway members. If there's anything you want to get off your chest, now is the time. Now.
I'll just say that it was an absolute honor and privilege to play Survivor, and I'm very grateful for Renier for making sure that I wasn't the first boot, because if Jason had got his way, I very well might have been. And that's crazy to think, potential first boot, and through someone else's instrumentality, I'm sitting here now, having got into the jury, and I'm so excited to watch the rest of the game play out, get an opportunity to decide on the winner. And what Renier and I can say for 100% certain is whoever we vote for, it will be someone who we believe deserves to win. It will be putting aside whatever personal feelings we have towards anyone who's there at the end. And it's going to be a wild ride the next few episodes, and I'm excited to watch it as now a fan and jury member.
Yeah. Claudia, there's one big problem which we have here. Like, you see, both of us gave the spear to Nicole, both of us the spoon to Chappies, because we basically say all the same things. And now Amy said literally everything I wanted to say.
Well, at the same time, I think it's a key indicator as to, like, whatever does happen in the end from a jury perspective, you two are going to be quite influential in this process. I don't know how much of a factor, but I know you guys are on the same wavelength. So curious to see how that plays out.
Cool. So maybe that's a good point to catch up onto what both of you said. So I agree with everything Amy says, and I just want to emphasize the part where she said both of us have the ability, or both of us are capable of putting our emotions aside and saying who outwitted at last and outplayed the best, who has the best social, strategic, and physical player, and we'll make the final vote on that. But in addition to that, I do believe that both of us consist of the ability to sit on Ponderosa and campaign for that as well, and not only make that our criteria of voting, but make sure that the entire jury has that criteria of voting and say, guys, I don't care what you guys think. I don't care what your personal vendettas are. There's going to be someone whose face is going to be the face of Survivor South Africa Season 8. And that face is going to represent you. So if you want to vote for a mushy person because you have personal alibis or you have personal vendettas against them, screw that. You don't want the wrong person to represent your season. If you put in Survivor South Africa Season 8 Immunity Island and the Wikipedia site pops up, that face up there, that's the person who's going to represent us. And if you vote for the wrong person, then you're in trouble. We want the best person possible in that final to represent our season. And not only will the two of us vote according to that, but we'll campaign for that so that everyone votes according to that as well.
I feel like that was a really good answer if you were the chairperson of a corporate body. So I don't know if you need to hook up with Mike and just speak about that. That was a great, that was logical. We looked at it. We're best for the people. I love the answer, by the way. I'm not bashing you. I'm just saying it was too on point. And maybe, again, that's why you and Amy, can I just say, out of all the shows I've had, a lot of the time, I always tell whoever's come on and afterwards I speak, I'm like, I can never say what's going to happen on the show. It normally takes life form of its own. But the two of you have been so in sync and so logical and structured in terms of this. It's made my life a lot easier. So I just want to say thank you for that.
No, you're more than welcome. The invoice is in the mail.
Yeah. Okay. We do have one last question here. Let's see. What was the first meal you ate when you guys got to Ponderosa?
Sean fed me about 52 rusks.
Was that an inside joke, or do you really love rusks?
No, he really fed me 52 is an exaggeration. It was probably 3. But it was a beautiful moment in my life, and I'll never forget it, Sean, if you're watching still.
For me, it was, you'll see it on my Ponderosa as well. Pork ribs, some veg, which was so great. I've never enjoyed veg so much. Yeah, I don't know what they had on that veg, but cocaine or something, but I was just digging into it. And
cocaine. I think you're playing on the wrong island, bro.
Hey, no jokes, eh? So Survivor Season 12, they actually flushed up a kilo of cocaine on the beach, which production needed to confiscate. Yeah, Ares Bakaiskas tweets about that. Anyway, not the point. So
that's an awesome little fact. You only get those kind of facts when you have Renier, diehard superfan, on the show. Just saying. Just thank you for that. Yeah. Did you throw those facts out when you're on the island and everyone's looking for cocaine? No.
No, I didn't know he was a super fan. I had no
Didn't you?
idea. No. Only
Oh, good
only
job,
when we were
Renier.
on our way to Ponderosa and this guy next to me is like absolutely broken, telling me this has been his dream for the last 20 years, and I'm like, who are you? I had no idea. He was very good at hiding that.
Yeah, but those tears though, Renier, when you came back, I think,
Shame.
yeah, but like that moment that you
Where do you
can't.
guys see this video? I can't find that video, but everyone just
We'll
tells
chat.
me-
We'll chat afterwards. We'll chat. Don't worry. I'll hook you up, brother. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
There's me moving to Joburg, trying to throw Joburg lingo in here. I don't know. Did it
I
work?
remember it,
I don't know where you're from.
unfortunately.
But no, but that moment is so testament to the point of when you get someone who really, I mean, Dino was possibly another one. I wonder if we would have seen tears if he was there as well, because we saw tears while he was on the island. The two of you, there was raw emotion, and it's something beautiful to watch when you're seeing a real, and it's not scripted. So yeah, I'll share the link with you afterwards, and you can see it. Yeah, I don't know.
Please do.
It's very special.
But I don't think anyone. Yeah, Amy was the unfortunate recipient of breaking down Renier. Like I was quite. I think I was quite reserved and controlled on the island.
Composed.
Composed. That's probably the best word. And calculated whenever I spoke. But there was literally like a trip switch in me flipped. In the Bucky thingy on the way to Ponderosa, and I just let loose, and I felt like such a disappointment to every. Oh yeah, okay, now I'm gonna get super mushy and emotional. It sucked, okay, it sucked.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't want to end on that note. One positive note. What is the best? What is the best?
That's mood kill, Renier.
Yeah. What is the best? What is the highlight? Oh, here's another. This is a good one. Nice distraction the week. We can end off the show. Renier, David, the Golden God. Did he mentor you going into the show? Are you best friends?
No.
What's going on?
We never knew each other, so this was a lucky break. So David, Janine has got the Boost Juice Boss, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
after we came back from Survivor, months went by, like you're waiting for the cast to be revealed and waiting and flipping waiting. And just around that time when the cast was revealed, David put something on his Instagram, and I'm following the guy. I'm following the whole world of Survivor. And he put something on his Instagram with him standing butt naked in a juice, big juice, and saying, I need to name this juice for my friend, who's Janine, and whoever gives the best name, that person wins, and I'll courier him 3 of these juices. And I thought, I'm going to give it a go. Send in a name which I to this day can't remember, and I won. Like he said, there was thousands of names, and he just thought mine was the best, and I won. I was like, oh my word, I can't believe it. Then he contacts me on Instagram, and I was just.
You can't remember the name.
No, I still can't remember the name. And
how do you win something on a name that you gave that you just can't? Do you just come up with these things on the regular that you're like, tomorrow I'm going to think of another one, and then just forget it?
So you sit there at work thinking reactor optimization.
Sorry, Renier, sorry. I just want to say, Amy, I don't know if Dino really stopped him. I think he might have forgotten to meet you at that point in the evening. Maybe that's what happened there, Renier.
Yeah, probably. What was I supposed to do?
Yeah. No. So then I honestly forgot the name. And then he contacts me. He's like, listen, bro, congratulations. You won such a cool name. And we're definitely going to use it. It's going to be on all our menus. Oh, and I'm going to send you these 3 juices. What's your address? And I was like, I'm going to milk this. I was like, 9 this and this and this street, Secunda, South Africa. I was like, say what? I was like, yeah, bro, that you said that's the deal. Like, come on. And he said, no, man, there's not anything else I can do. And I said, well, now that you ask, there is something else that you can do. and I just said, so it's revealing time here in South Africa. I don't know if you follow Survivor South Africa. We've just released the cast. I'm basically playing in the season which is up and coming. Would you mind if I just like would you mind if we just chat a little bit? I just want to hear about the experience. So we sent a couple of messages back and forth, and then it died down again. Like there wasn't much. But then like months later, when Survivor Australia aired in South Africa, that's actually when things heated up a little bit for us. So then he was voted out, and people were commenting on his Instagram, giving him a lot of love, and someone commented in Afrikaans. And he was like, how the hell should
you need a translator.
What? You need a translator. And you remember this random guy with an Afrikaans accent from months ago who actually won his juice competition. and then I get this random message in my inbox from
Yeah.
David. I was like, "Hey, bro, I got this message. Can you help me?" I was like, "Can I help you?" "Yeah, but I'll reply this, and then we chatted a little bit. And then he said he wants to do something for the Survivor South Africa fans because he's getting a lot of like following here. And I said, well, I can do you a quick Q&A on Instagram if you want. And he said, yeah, sure. So I hosted him for a Q&A, and yeah, that was about it. He's a super nice guy, but like super busy. We haven't like befriended one another or speak every day or something, but that was like a cool little chapter for me to be able to just chat to the guy 3 or 4 times.
If only you could meet him in person and give him the same look you gave Amy, I think that would change the whole perspective of the long-term relationship. Amy, is there a last story you want to finish off with?
No, I think that one takes the cake. Well, to David Gannett and Renier's juice.
Yeah.
Right, so on that note, I just want to thank everyone who joined us live today. We had a great turnout. And to you, Amy and Renier, thank you very much for joining me, and thank you for being able to share your story on this platform. We really appreciate it from TNO. And I know you mentioned it earlier, but this has been your favorite interview of the day, despite it being super busy. And I appreciate that too.
Thanks, it's so much fun.
This is the best. Thank you for having us. So awesome.
Yeah. And thanks for making us look like Marisha.
It's only because the two of you came out fighting. You were swinging, man. Jeepers. That tribal council is epic, man. Anyway, okay.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Claudia.
everybody. We'll see you guys next week. And Amy, I want to hear that story offline. Okay, goodbye, everyone.
Bye.